Welcome to Gene's Reviews, where I basically do whatever the hell I want. A scary video in my car. Today we're doing one from Top 5 Scary Videos. Got my IT hat on, so I'm all ready to go. And this is Top 5 Scary Predictions for 2023 that will terrify you. Let's check this out.
Hello, my ghouls and goblins. Do you believe that some people are born differently, with a gift? And I don't mean people who can fold their tongue or wiggle their ears independently. I'm talking about the gift. You know, sight without sight, seeing into the future.
I like both of these guys.
Yet come to pass.
While many people claim to have this gift, most end up being frauds and grifters. But every once in a while, someone comes forward with prophecies that turn out to be accurate. And not all of these predictions are good.
Well, today we're going to be taking a look at some of those predictions that ain't so good. We're going to look at these sayers of sooth to see what they had to say for 2023. This is the top 5 scary predictions we hope don't come true for 2023. I don't think that's the title of the video.
It isn't.
Let's dive in. Number 5, a bioweapon disaster. Bioweapon has been called the Nostradamus of the Balkans. And if you're a fan of this channel, presumably you've heard a lot about Bioweapon. When she was a girl, a sandstorm blinded her. However, when a door closes, God opens a window. And although she lost her sight, she was given a second sight, an ability to allegedly see into the future. And over the years, she's made quite a name for herself, making several predictions. Now, any old hack can predict stuff, but it takes a real prophet to land the nail on the head. One of Bioweapon's more concerning predictions, to say the least, is that in the near immediate future, there's going to be a bioweapon disaster carried out by a large nation. Now, of course, in classic Bioweapon tradition, she was just cryptic enough to not mention which country's doing this. As well, it's hard to say what exactly she meant by a bioweapon, but that's why we love you, Bioweapon. We love vague mysticisms over here.
No, I want to know.
Virus? Now, the United Nations, of course, bans the development and production of any biological weapons, but, you know, if you think all the countries follow everything the United Nations does all the time, I've got a bridge I'd love to sell you. Anyway, if she was predicting accurately, this would have huge ramifications, not just for public safety, but also global politics. If it was a virus she's referring to, Vanga did make another prediction similarly in 2022 that a new virus would be uncovered and spread rapidly across the globe, as if we really need to do that one again. We just recently uncovered 33 new viruses in Siberia, and if you can wait just a couple minutes, you'll hear a lot more about that. Now, could there possibly be a connection between these retroviruses and her prediction of a bioweapon? I mean, of course there could be, but there could also not be. For all of our sakes, we sincerely hope maybe
she's wrong.
Getting this one wrong. She's not right all the time. She predicted by 2017 that Europe would cease to exist, and as of this video, December 30th, 2022, Europe currently still exists. Can we get someone to check in on that just to make 100% sure? She also predicted that Barack Obama, the 44th president, would be the final president the United States ever saw. And unless she was making a complicated political commentary, there have been 2 more presidents since then, and there probably will be a few more afterwards. So she's not always right. But if you want a prediction that is right on the money 100% of the time, I predict that if you click through on Top 5 Scary, you're gonna find a video you like, you'll subscribe, and you'll get fresh scary content every single day. And I've got a feeling that I'm right.
I know that psychics are fake because one told me I'd find love. Number 4, yet another supervirus. Athos Salome is a self-proclaimed parapsychologist and psychic who has been called the Nostradamus of Brazil. Seems like every country has one. And every year, he makes a point of releasing his predictions for the year ahead. Whether his predictions are simply guesses, or if he really does have some kind of psychic gift, is really not for me to say. But what I will say is that he has a relatively impressive track record. Salome was apparently able to predict a variety of things that happened in the last few years, such as the virus that has been taking the world by storm, the current situation in the Ukraine, the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and the results of the recent World Cup in Qatar.
Queen Elizabeth was in her 90s. Excellent prediction.
If this is true, and Athos really has been capable of predicting major world events, I really hope his predictions for the year ahead prove untrue. In his 2023 prediction report, he states that the world will have to deal with yet another bug that could cause serious harm.
I don't doubt that at all.
As he puts it, it will sweep the world, and the fight against this new virus will take longer than
one can imagine.
And it'll probably be
man-made.
If this new virus goes unchecked, suffering, mental and material damage will proliferate death, and this virus will be known as the greatest Grim Reaper in history. Athos claims that the origin of this sickness will be a result of melting ice in Antarctica. Whether his prediction for this year is true or not, this particular theory does have some scientific plausibility. Scientists have been saying for years that as the polar ice caps melt, viruses and bacteria that have been frozen in the ice for thousands of years could be released onto the world. We got a taste of this in 2016 when 8 people in Siberia were infected with anthrax after an infected reindeer carcass that had been frozen in the permafrost was thawed out due to a heat wave. Scientists have studied ice samples taken from the Tibetan Plateau and apparently discovered 33 previously unknown viruses that have been frozen away for about 15,000 years. Hopefully, Athos is mistaken, and this won't be the year where a previously unknown virus thaws out from the ice and drives the world.
They gotta figure out a way to keep it frozen.
Number 3, a Leave that in the video, please. Number 3, a shift in Earth's orbit. You know, there's a lot of really good things to like about the Earth. Lush fields, flowing water, the Fast and Furious franchise, and it orbits exactly where it should. It's a fantastic trait of our big blue marble. Well, Baba Vanga, always in my mind and always in my heart, made another worrying prediction about the state of the Earth in the near future, where she predicted that somehow, some way, something is going to knock Earth off of its orbit. Now, I feel like I don't need to explain too much why something knocking Earth off of its orbit would be pretty bad, mostly because I'm not a scientist, I don't really know the big details. Everything we're doing on this planet works the way it does, due in no small part to everything fitting in just the right place. But let's get into it for just a second. If Earth was somehow thrown off by its orbit by some incomprehensible cosmic Galactus level force, it would wreak incalculable havoc. Countries would be thrown into cycles of month-long days or nights, you know, which might sound nice at first, you know. Imagine you had the most beautiful day of the year lasting 3 months, except then you think of the damage it would cause. Unending daylight would lead to mass sleep deprivation, global anxiety,
I can sleep.
Not to mention what it would do to our flora, fauna, and wildlife.
I have a problem with
that.
that.
Ravaged, burnt, leading to a global famine. As well, unending days would lead to temperatures doubling, melting the ice caps even worse than they already are, rising sea levels and flooding coastal cities. We're not even talking about the parts of the globe that would be sent into like a long night. Could you imagine a 3-month-long night? For immediate starters, that would mean vampires and like cats, I guess, would be the only ones.
Crime would go crazy.
Huge for the Fang community. Interestingly though, this actually is a recognized phenomenon called a polar night. And it's a town in Norway that actually experiences something like this in Tromsø. The sun doesn't rise from November to January, and paradoxically, they don't seem to experience seasonal affective disorder at all and seem pretty fine with it. So add Norwegians alongside vampires and cats as the folks who would be fine with this. Sadly, as I am not one of those 3 groups, I probably would have an issue with it. So I'm gonna hope, just for my own sake, that this is another prediction of Baba's that isn't quite on the money.
Number 2, solar storms. With all the rather dire predictions made by Baba Vanga for the upcoming year, it could be tempting to call her a pessimist. One of her more devastating predictions for the year ahead is that we will experience what is known as a solar storm. A solar storm refers to phenomena taking place on the surface of the sun, such as coronal mass ejections or solar flares. If one of these coronal mass ejections were to reach Earth, it would cause a geomagnetic storm. This kind of storm has happened before on Earth in 1859 in what has since been called the Carrington event due to the work of astronomer Richard Carrington. It resulted in telegraph networks being knocked out, as well as people using electronics being electrocuted, and even some pretty nasty fires. But it would be much worse if it happened today. Imagine, if you will, a world where all of the technology you take for granted was suddenly fried and unusable. Suddenly, internet access and records would be lost.
Be doing this right now.
Communication systems that we have come to rely on, keep our world running, would become useless blocks of dead machinery. A world of darkness where chaos reigns, and the financial markets are suddenly put into a dramatic tailspin that we could not even begin to reverse the effects of for years. Think of the chaos that took place relatively recently in Texas when the power grid went down, and imagine what would happen if that took place all over the world. Considering the disastrous global consequences of one of these severe solar storms, let us hope that Baba Vanga is incorrect in her prediction that this will happen in the upcoming year.
I'm sick of hearing about Bioweapon.
This is some
I'd like
depressing
to hear somebody
stuff.
else prophesizing some doomsday. Maybe Nostradamus. He's a pretty good one. Nostradamus wrote hundreds upon hundreds of predictions, and for years after the fact, scholars and experts have been trying their darndest to decipher what he meant by them. Because like all the great psychics of the world out there, he only wrote in vague mysticisms. So let's hear what Mr. Michel de Nostradamus had to say. Take a listen. The moon in full of night over the high mountain. The new sage with a lone brain sees it. By his disciples invited to be immortal. Eyes to the south, hands in bosoms, bodies in the fire. Now, I'm gonna be level with you. This does kind of sound like something a wizard in a cave in like one of the Zelda games would tell you, but let me do my best to parse this. Some Nostradamus experts and translators believe that this could be a reference to the rise of the digital age. I know, but bear with me. The new sage with a lone brain sees it. By his disciples invited to be immortal could possibly be referring to, and I don't want to stroke his ego too much here by calling him a sage, but Mark Zuckerberg's desire for the metaverse and his unwavering belief that that's the future of humanity, that we're all going to strap ourselves into a VR headset and start living our new lives
I don't
inside
want
a
to do
digital
that.
realm that looks like Wii Sports Resort, where we'll all begin anew and leave our fleshy bodies behind. Perhaps this is what Bodies in the Fire is referring to. Now, this stuff all seems a little sci-fi still, but it's an interesting thing to ponder and think about as we're getting close to reality each day. Is this the end goal for humanity? To link us all up? To escape the weakness of our flesh? And
I wouldn't mind doing it
existing
in a
as
game or
bits and bytes
something, but
forever?
not for,
In the last
not
few
forever.
years, we've seen AI go from rudimentary chatbots to these impressive creation tools capable of generating things we wouldn't believe. Will we get to a point where an AI can mimic a human experience? Notable video game director Hideo Kojima firmly believes this, and in a December 2022 interview alluded to this, saying that he believes he'll continue making video games even after his own death because he will have scanned his brain, and an AI based off his thoughts and his works will continue on his legacy long after he's gone. A disciple invited to be immortal, and if there's any disciple, it's Hideo Kojima. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like this reality, and I hope we can stay in it just a little bit longer, but that's mostly because I'm bad with computers. But for all that it's worth, psychic predictions are kind of a dangerous thing to put too much stock in. I mean, no clairvoyant old lady could have told us that we'd be trapped inside a dark, liminal void where, time is meaningless as hope.
But the dark forces that control this realm have made a prediction that if you do not like this video and subscribe, you too may be taken into this dark dimension where you will be forced to regale viewers with tales of the macabre and the disturbing here on Top 5 Scary Videos.
Well, you know what? You make 10 predictions and one comes true, you're all of a sudden hailed as a psychic. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And now, you know what time it is. A joke to brighten your day. I got fired from my job at the bank. An old lady asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her over. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hashtag Mean Gene, all that fun stuff. And if you like this video, tell all your friends, leave a comment down below. And if you didn't like it, then just shut up. And I will see you next time.